When it comes to Draymond Green, I get it. I'm the boy who cried wolf. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, it's kind of been an inside running joke with the channel. Every year, at least once a year, I say, "Hey, is it time to trade Draymond Green?" And I've consistently been too early on that, right? But we all do know the story of the boy who cried wolf, right? When the wolf finally shows up, no one listens to him because I do it all the time, right? Well, is it finally time to trade Draymond Green? Washed or waiting the title, right? And it's an interesting psychology with the fan base. And, everybody views things, different perspectives, right? But I know myself, I haven't been as focused on Draymond and how poorly he's been playing to start this season, almost because it was like after we drug him for the Jordan Poole incident, rightfully so, it was kind of like, all right, gotta just chill. Let Draymond, I think it was kind of like a grace period of letting Draymond try to reacclimate himself amongst his teammates at the start of the season and all that stuff. But now that we're almost 20 games into the season, and you go back and you look at the tape, Draymond doesn't look like the same player, right? And I've made some mention about it here recently, right? The elevation is one thing, particularly rebounding and contesting shots at the basket. He's already undersized. We know he uses his length, and he's a pretty good one step 2-foot jumper, or he had been in the past. And you're seeing guys come flying in, and he's just not getting the elevation we're used to him getting contesting shots. He's also another sign that he's not really being able to explode up is he's getting hit backwards a lot more. Prime Draymond Green, you think of these chest-to-chest contests where he's just so strong, and now you're seeing even guards kind of bull him over and down on the floor. And then maybe the more concerning part of his defense has been his closeouts, where not only are they not fundamentally sound, he's just getting blown by, and it looks bad. It looks uncomfortable. It looks like it hurts him to close out, right? And, I guess the question is, look, is he pacing himself right now? Is he kind of waiting to flip a switch, ease his way back into the season? We've seen him do that before, right? But not with the added context of what has happened this offseason, where you look at the Jordan Poole incident, right? And now he essentially is in a contract season. We know he has the opt-in. I made the joke the other day. I was like, never mind contract Draymond. This is opt-in Draymond, right? Because if he continues at this rate, he's absolutely opting in. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, really. But again, contract year, the Jordan Poole situation, it doesn't make sense that he would be pacing himself or dogging it at this point in the season, especially with the losses and the way they're piling up. And so again, I propose the question. I know I'm the boy who cried wolf. Is it time? Because at a certain point here, this might be like before the rest of the league recognizes it. What value can you get for him? Some will say no other team would value him more than what the Warriors in the system does. And that's a fair argument as well. But I'm really concerned with what I've seen with Draymond this year, because it doesn't look like an effort thing, right? And I just don't know if Draymond hangs his hat on his defense, right? And so I haven't seen him defend this poorly, really, ever. Now, does this go back to the back injury a year ago? Remember, it started with the calf tightness, and, that would certainly explain some of the lack of elevation. Maybe some of it is just simply aging. We look at LeBron and you look at Steph and some of these guys that have taken phenomenal care of their bodies. They've stretched their primes out, right? But not everybody, one, is that committed to taking care of their body, and two, some of it's just genetics. I was looking, you look at Draymond, he looks older. I'm not trying to diss him. You visibly look at him, you're like, he looks like he's in his late 30s, right? Even though he's in his early 30s. He's playing like he's in his late 30s. So I don't know. I think we have to keep an eye on that, again, with the context of this being a contract year. And he looks to be in shape. That's the other thing that I want to add. It's not like he looks heavy, right? I believe Kerr said he came into camp in really good shape. Again, contract year. So you say, well, who could you trade him for? You know what? You hear John Collins' name out there a lot. Atlanta, this is another, you want to talk about an annual thing, right? Atlanta putting John Collins on the trade block. And right now, it almost seems to make more sense than it ever has, right? Both it's Collins, 24, 25 years old, has really struggling. For whatever reason, it doesn't seem to be a fit in Atlanta. Him and Trey have kind of tried to make it look like they're cool. I don't know what it is within the locker room, but then he's struggling to be efficient. He's not getting a lot of touches, right? They look like they're ready to move on from him. They have been. Travis Schlenk, the general manager there, one-time Warrior front office guy, right? And he kind of likes that blueprint. You bring in Draymond, that championship pedigree, and hey, the defense, that's the selling point. Like, they would have to believe that he's still got more in the tank to be that guy and that defender, because I think Atlanta has plenty of offense. And it's not like Collins is scoring a lot for them anyway. And you flip it to Golden State, and now, you're blowing it up. I get it. It's a hard sell because you're blowing up the core three, but it's either you move on too late or you move on too soon. There's no in between. So I don't even know if I like that trade. I've just talked myself out of it, but I'm just here to say we got to keep an eye on Draymond. And I don't think we've focused enough on, because you look at the defensive deficiencies of this season, right? And, obviously no GP2, no Otto Porter, right? But now you throw Wiseman at the front of the rim and his complete lack of experience, timing, and rim protection. And Draymond not being able to do what he once did. Jordan Poole playing more minutes. Clay not the defender that he once was. I know the adage of defense wins championships, but the reality is, moving forward for the Warriors, I'm not sure that they're going to be able to hang their hat on being a top 5 defense any longer. I think that they're going to have to make up for it with being even more explosive offensively. I'm not saying they can rank where they are now defensively. They've got to get better, but I don't know if it's realistic for them to get back into that top 5 defensively. Now, the other option here, which is much more realistic, and I think that you guys will agree with, is get Draymond some help. To be fair, again, I try to be fair, man, because y'all know, like, I love to kill Draymond. He's not my favorite guy personality-wise, but to ask him to do what he's doing at his age and with this much tread off the tires is too much. Maybe he can get back to being a very good defender if you put some size and rim protection behind him, because it's like he's trying to compensate and be the rim protector. He's trying to be everywhere at once, and he just no longer can move like that. And so if you put a 7-footer in there behind him, or just bigger size on the back end to clean up some of these rebounds, because we know the second chance points have been such a problem for the defense, then maybe that can help Draymond look better. Take some of the load off him defensively, much like we say we got to take some of the load off Steph offensively. I think that that's a much more realistic option. Now, how do you do that? How do you do that with the trades and the contracts are funny? I was on Locked On Warriors yesterday. Shout out to Cyrus for having me on. You guys can go check that interview podcast out on the Locked On Warriors YouTube channel. But we're talking about who do James Wiseman, and how do you make this? To me, listen, Joe Lacob's going to have to make a decision here. We know how much he is invested in James Wiseman. He's been courtside at his G League games, right, this week. And before you guys say, hey, Alk, like, are you going to break down his G League games? Like, what did you think? Like, yeah, I looked at the highlights. Who cares, man? Like, what difference is it going to make? He can have 10 and 20 and 10 in the G League. What is going to translate? Like, until he's back up with the squad and showing progress on an NBA court, I don't have a whole lot to say about it. You know what I mean? And I think that Lacob has to acknowledge and move Wiseman, and hell, maybe even move Moody. I think Wiseman and Moody should be absolutely on the table and at play right now to go get not just a veteran. It can be a younger veteran, because we do need athleticism, right? But a guy that you absolutely know can rebound and give you some sort of rim protection. A Vanderbilt. Hey, go get Dwight in Taiwan. I've thrown names out there. It doesn't have to be a sexy player, a big name player. but a physical veteran who rebounds and can give some sort of rim protection. If they want to stay with this 2 timeline thing and they believe in the young 3, I said it on the podcast yesterday, I think we're looking at a play-in, most likely. So, yeah, we'll see. What is it, Wednesday tonight? No Paul George, no Kawhi. It's a must-win situation because you punt on the Pelicans game. Now you got everybody back at home, right? This should be a win here, and they got to start racking them up. But you look at this Western Conference, the standings, they're all jumbled up. I'm not panicking about the wins and losses yet. It's the big picture situation. And if you look at some of the performances in a vacuum, Draymond, you got to hope that he starts to look better, or you got to get him some help so he can look better. I'll be back with another video here soon, maybe before Thanksgiving. If not, until then, enjoy your holiday, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, all that. Stay safe. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.